Welcome back to the Behavior Code. I'm Maria.
And I'm Gabriel, and today we're diving into something pretty heavy, but so important.
It really is. So, let me just start with a question for everyone listening. Have you ever been in a situation, maybe with a friend, a partner, a family member, where you walked away feeling confused and small and just wrong, but you couldn't quite put your finger on why?
Like you lost an argument you didn't even know you were having.
Exactly. You feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells. I had a friend years ago, and every time we'd make plans, if I had to cancel for a legitimate reason, it wasn't just, oh, okay, next time. It would turn into this whole emotional spiral,
Ooh, I think I know where this is going.
right? It'd be sighs and, oh, I was just really looking forward to it. I guess I'll just stay home alone. And suddenly, I'd feel this immense wave of guilt. I'd end up apologizing profusely for being sick or for having a family emergency. It took me years to realize that my feelings of guilt weren't an accident. They were the whole point.
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful and subtle form of control.
And that's what we're talking about today, the silent epidemic of manipulation. We're going to break down the psychology of manipulative people, what it is, how to spot it, and most importantly, how to protect yourself.
So let's start with the basics. What even is manipulation, Maria? It's a word we throw around a lot.
We do, and I think people imagine like a cartoon villain twisting his mustache, but it's rarely that obvious. At its core, manipulation is any attempt to sway someone's emotions or decisions to serve your agenda, usually in an underhanded or deceptive way.
Right. The key part there is underhanded, because we all try to influence people. That's normal. Like, I might try to persuade you to watch a movie I love. That's influence.
Yeah, you'd say, hey, this cinematography is amazing, you'd appreciate it. You're being direct with your reasoning.
Exactly. But manipulation would be if I said, if you really valued my opinion and our friendship, you'd watch it. I guess you just don't care about the things I'm passionate about.
Oof, yeah, see? Suddenly, it's not about the movie, it's about my character, my value as a friend. You've changed the stakes.
That's why it's so hard to detect. It operates in this gray area of emotions and unspoken social contracts. Manipulators are masters of this. They exploit your desire to be a good, kind, reasonable person.
And they disguise their control as care or concern, or even as them being the victim. It's a smokescreen. You feel like you're just being considerate, but you're actually being controlled.
And that's the insidious nature of it. It's a slow erosion of your own judgment and autonomy. Often so gradual, you don't notice it's happening until you're deep in it. It's like boiling a frog, right? The change in temperature is so gradual, the frog doesn't realize it's in danger until it's too late. Manipulation works the same way. A small guilt trip here, a little white lie there. On their own, they seem minor, but they add up over time to create a pattern of control.
And it's important to remember that intent matters. Sometimes people can be unintentionally manipulative because they have poor communication skills or unresolved emotional issues. But what we're focusing on today is the more patterned, intentional manipulation, where someone is knowingly exploiting you for their own gain. So true. Okay, so let's get into, I guess, the different flavors of manipulators, because they're not all the same. There are certain patterns or archetypes you see again and again.
Let's do it. Where should we start? The big one?
Let's start with the big one, the narcissist.
Right. So, for a narcissistic individual, everything is about them. Their manipulation stems from a deep need for admiration and a profound lack of empathy. They need to be the center of the universe, and they'll warp reality to make it so.
They use people as props in their own show. So they'll charm you, praise you, make you feel like the most special person in the world, as long as you're reflecting their greatness back at them.
But the second you challenge them or have a need of your own or disagree, that's when the mask slips. They'll subtly, or not so subtly, punish you for it. They'll criticize you, withdraw affection, or twist a narrative to make you look like the bad guy for daring to question them.
Totally, it's all about maintaining their superiority. Okay, so what about the next type? This one I think is even trickier to spot, the covert manipulator, often known as the professional victim.
This one is tough because they operate from a place of perceived weakness, which completely disarms you. Their whole world is built on a narrative of suffering. Life is unfair to them, everyone is out to get them, nothing ever goes their way.
And their primary weapon is your own pity and guilt, right? They don't make demands. They make you feel so sorry for them that you offer to do things. You're constantly trying to rescue them.
Exactly. It's the ultimate passive aggressive control. They get what they want without ever having to ask for it. And they get to maintain this moral high ground of being the long suffering. If you ever say no, you're just another person who's let them down.
It's exhausting and it's a bottomless pit. Okay, third one, the emotional controller.
This one is intense. This person uses emotion itself as the currency of control. Their moods dictate the entire atmosphere. When they're happy, everyone is relieved. When they're upset, everyone is walking on eggshells.
Yes, you become responsible for their feelings. They create this dynamic where their emotional stability depends on your actions. You made me angry. My day's ruined because you were 10 minutes late. There's no personal accountability.
And they often create emotional dependency. They might isolate you from your friends and family, making you believe that they are the only one who truly understands you or cares for you. It's a way of shrinking your world until they are the center of it.
So scary. Okay, so we have the types. Now let's dig into the toolbox. What are the actual tactics these people use day to day? And there's another one that's common, especially in professional or academic settings, the intellectual bully.
Right, the tools of the trade. I think we have to start with probably the most well-known but maybe least understood tactic, gaslighting. Yes, the intellectual bully. This person uses their knowledge, their vocabulary, or their grasp of complex subjects as a weapon. They don't want to inform you, they want to intimidate you and make you feel stupid.
Yes, gaslighting is simply making someone question their own sanity or perception of reality. It's the ultimate mind game. It's the phrases like, that never happened, you're imagining things, or the classic, you're being too sensitive. They use jargon, complex arguments, and condescension to make you feel inferior. In a meeting, they'll shoot down your idea not because it's bad, because you didn't present it with the correct terminology. It's a power play disguised as intellectualism.
Right, it's a denial of your experience. You come to them with a legitimate feeling, hey, it hurt my feelings when you said that, and they flip it. Suddenly, the problem isn't what they said, the problem is your reaction. Your memory's faulty, your feelings are invalid.
Over time, it's incredibly damaging because you start to believe it. You lose trust in your own mind. You think, well, maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I am remembering it wrong. It destabilizes your entire sense of self.
Absolutely. Okay, next tactic, guilt tripping. We touched on this with your story earlier.
Yeah, this is the manipulator's bread and butter. It's using your conscience against you, leveraging your sense of duty, loyalty, or compassion to get what they want. It sounds like, after everything I've done for you, you can't do this one thing?
Or the classic sigh and, don't worry about me, I'll be fine, which is designed to make you do the exact opposite of not worrying. It makes you feel like a bad person if you don't give in.
It's a moral trap. They're positioning themselves as morally superior, the giver, the sacrificer, and you as the selfish taker.
Okay, how about one that feels really good? At first, love bombing.
Yes, the Trojan horse of manipulation. Love bombing is an overwhelming display of affection, attention, and flattery right at the beginning of a relationship. Constant texts, lavish gifts, telling you you're their soulmate after 2 weeks?
It feels amazing. You feel seen, you feel adored. But it's not genuine affection, it's a tactic. It's designed to get you hooked, to make you dependent on that high level of validation.
Exactly, because once they have you, they start to pull it away. The affection becomes conditional, and you're left scrambling, thinking, what did I do wrong? How do I get back to how things were? And just like that, they have all the power.
Which leads perfectly into the last major tactic, the silent treatment. The polar opposite of love bombing.
Right. This is the deliberate withdrawal of communication and affection as punishment. They ignore your calls, give you one word answers, act like you're not even in the room.
It's incredibly powerful because it creates a huge emotional void. As humans, we hate that kind of unresolved tension. It triggers our abandonment fears. So what do?
We chase, we apologize, even when we've done nothing wrong. We beg for their attention. We'll do anything to close that distance, which again puts them firmly in control. It's a really cruel power play.
It really is. So, you hear all these tactics, and a part of you might be thinking, that sounds so obvious. Why would anyone fall for that? And speaking of cruel, what about projection? That's a big one.
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's so important to talk about this without any victim blaming. It is not a sign of weakness to be manipulated. In fact, manipulators often prey on people's strengths. Oh, absolutely. Projection is when a manipulator takes their own undesirable traits, feelings, or behaviors and accuses you of them. They can't handle their own issues, so they literally project them onto you. Someone who is cheating will accuse you of being secretive. Someone who is lying will call you a liar.
That's a fantastic point. For example, people with a high degree of empathy are prime targets. Empaths. They genuinely feel for others and they want to help. A manipulator sees that empathy not as a gift, but as a button to push. It's a way of making you constantly on the defensive. It's crazy making because you end up defending yourself against accusations that have nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. It's a very effective and very toxic way to deflect accountability.
Totally. The manipulator tells a sob story or plays the victim, and the empathic person's instinct is to soothe, to fix, to give them the benefit of the doubt. Your compassion becomes the tool of your own manipulation. That's exhausting. And it brings up another one, which is moving the goalposts.
Another huge factor is the need for approval. Most of us are socialized to be agreeable, to be nice. We don't want to rock the boat or be seen as difficult or selfish.
The people pleaser instinct.
Exactly. A manipulator knows this. So they'll frame the requests in a way that if you say no, you're not just saying no to the request, you're being a bad friend, a bad partner, a bad person. And to avoid that negative self-image, you give in.
And sometimes it's about our own psychological vulnerabilities. If you grew up in an environment where your feelings were often dismissed, or if you have low self-esteem, you're more likely to believe a manipulator's version of reality over your own.
That's right. If you already have a quiet inner critic telling you you're not good enough, the manipulator just has to turn up the volume on a voice that's already there. It feels familiar.
It's really a perfect storm of factors. It's their skill at deception combined with our very human desire for connection, harmony, and validation. Anyone can be vulnerable to it under the right circumstances.
So let's pivot to that. How do you know when you're in it? What are the internal red flags, the signs that the dynamic you're in is manipulative? And we have to talk about intermittent reinforcement. It's a huge factor. This is the same principle that makes slot machines so addictive. It's a pattern of unpredictable reward.
I think the biggest one for me is a feeling of chronic confusion and self-doubt. You're constantly second-guessing yourself. You find yourself replaying conversations over and over in your head, trying to figure out if you're the one in the wrong.
Yes, that mental fog. It's like you can never get clarity. You feel like you're going crazy, and they seem perfectly calm and rational, which just reinforces the idea that the problem must be you.
Another huge one is just feeling drained. Pay attention to your energy levels. After you talk to or spend time with this person, do you feel energized and happy, or do you feel exhausted and depleted?
The energy vampire. Healthy relationships are reciprocal. Unhealthy, manipulative ones are a one-way street. You give, and they take and take. It's no wonder you feel drained.
And then there's the feeling of second-guessing reality itself. This is the result of long-term gaslighting. You stop trusting your own memory. You might even find yourself apologizing for things you're not sure you even did.
That's a really dangerous place to be. And the related sign is that you find yourself hiding things from your other friends or family. You instinctively know they wouldn't approve of how you're being treated, so you start to isolate yourself to avoid their judgment, which is exactly what the manipulator wants.
Yes, the secrecy is a huge red flag. And one last one, you're always apologizing. The blame always lands on you no matter what. They could cheat on you, and by the end of the conversation, you're apologizing for not being attentive enough. It's a crazy making, blame shifting dance.
It really is. So, okay, this is the most critical part of the conversation. We've defined it, we've identified the signs. If someone is listening right now and thinking, oh my God, this is my life, what do they do? How do they protect themselves? Another sign is that your world starts to shrink. They might not forbid you from seeing friends or family, but they make it so difficult or unpleasant that you start to pull away on your own. Every time you have plans, it's a fight, or they're guilt tripping you, or they're suddenly sick and need you, so you just stop making plans.
The first and most important step is to build boundaries. And not just build them, but enforce them. A boundary is not about controlling the other person, it's about controlling what you will accept.
And that can be so hard. It feels confrontational. But it can be simple. It can be, I will not be spoken to that way, or I'm not available to discuss this while you're yelling, or just no.
No is a complete sentence, and you have to be prepared for the backlash. A manipulator will not like your new boundaries. They will push back, they will guilt trip you, they will accuse you of being selfish. That's the test. You have to hold firm.
The second piece of advice is to start trusting your instincts again. That gut feeling of confusion or dread, that's your internal alarm system. Don't let the manipulator convince you it's faulty. If a situation feels wrong, it is wrong for you. You don't need to justify it or prove it in a court of law. Your feeling is reason enough.
That's so powerful. Reconnecting with your own intuition is key. Another practical strategy is to limit your emotional access. Manipulators feed on your emotional reactions. The more you share your vulnerabilities, your hopes, your fears, the more ammunition you give them.
Right. It's a technique called the gray rock method. You make yourself as boring and unresponsive as a gray rock. They ask how you are. Fine. They try to start a drama. I see. You give them nothing to hook into. They'll eventually get bored and go look for a more interesting source of supply.
And finally, get an outside perspective. Talk to a trusted friend, a family member, or a therapist, someone who is outside the manipulator's sphere of influence. Just saying it out loud to someone else can break the spell. They can reflect reality back to you and say, no, you're not crazy. That is not okay.
That reality check is invaluable. It can be the lifeline you need to start pulling yourself out.
Okay, so let's make this super concrete. Can you give us a quick real-life scenario of how this plays out and how to respond?
Sure, let's take a work scenario. A coworker, Dave, keeps offloading his work onto you. They'll say things like, you're just so much better at this stuff than I am. I just mess it up. Could you just take a quick look?
Right, flattery mixed with feigned incompetence. Classic.
Exactly. The old response is, oh, sure, Dave, because you want to be helpful. The new, boundary-led response is, thanks for the vote of confidence, Dave. I'm sure you'll do great. I have to focus on my own deadlines right now.
Perfect. It's polite, it's professional, but it's firm. You're not taking the bait. Okay, my turn. A partner who uses the silent treatment when they're mad at you for, I don't know, for going out with your friends.
Oof, a classic controller move.
Totally. So you get home and they're just cold. One-word answers. The air is thick with tension. The old you would chase. What's wrong? Are you mad? Please talk to me.
Playing their game.
Exactly. The new you says, I can tell you're upset about something. I'm here and ready to talk calmly when you are. And then you go read a book. You take a bath. You disengage from the drama. You refuse to participate in the punishment.
You take their power away. They're expecting you to grovel. And when you don't, the tactic loses all of its effectiveness. It's about changing the dance steps. Let's do one more, a really common family dynamic. A parent guilt-tripping their adult child about visiting. They say, You know, I won't be around forever. It would be a shame if you were too busy to see your own mother.
That's such a good way to put it. All right, as we start to wrap up this really intense conversation, what's the one big takeaway we want people to leave with?
For me, it's this: your feelings are valid, period. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. Your perception of reality matters. A manipulator's greatest weapon is making you distrust yourself. The moment you start trusting yourself again is the moment you start to get free.
And I'd add to that, be patient with yourself. This isn't an easy process. Unlearning these dynamics takes time. There will be moments you slip up, and that's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Every time you choose your own well-being, it's a victory.
And for anyone listening who feels overwhelmed by all this, please know there are resources available. Organizations like the National Domestic Violence Hotline and the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence have websites and hotlines with trained professionals who can help you navigate these situations safely. You're not alone.
Thank you for tuning in to this important episode of The Behavior Code. Take care of yourselves out there.
We'll see you next time. Upbeat outro music fades in.